And just open up the meeting, okay? Good?
As soon as you tell me that everybody's in, I'll start.
Okay, let them in. There's only like a couple people, so they're all in.
Yeah, James needs to get in.
Should be good.
All right, I'd like to call this meeting to order. This meeting is being held remotely as an alternate means of public access pursuant to an order issued by the Governor of Massachusetts dated March 12, 2020, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law. You're hereby advised that this meeting and all communications during this meeting may be recorded by the town of Scituate in accordance with the open meeting law. Meetings will have a question and answer session following each public hearing. Abutters will have, and interested parties will have the ability to raise a hand. Please keep your comments to less than 5 minutes. Thank you. Okay, do we have any additions or omissions to the agenda?
No. Is there anything you want to discuss tonight, Frank?
I do want to just discuss a little bit more the scouting,
Okay.
camping.
Okay. So I make a motion to accept the agenda with the add-on of scouting discussion.
Second. We have a second from Doug. So all in favor? Richard?
Yes.
Jen's out tonight, right? Andy? Is Andy in yet?
No.
Okay.
Not yet.
And Brendan?
Yes.
Great, thank you. Okay. I'm actually trying to turn this down because Penny's feeling loud.
My feelings. I'm going to talk.
Yeah, doubt it. Okay, so we'll go to, we'll start right in 45 Pennfield Rd. On May 24th, 2001, during the 5:30 meeting in the Town Hall, Scituate Conservation Commission will act on the request of Joe Spinella for determination of applicability of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Scituate Wetlands bylaws for activities related to a septic repair on property noted as 45 Pennfield Rd, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Access to the virtual meeting will be available in the agenda posted on the town website. So we have Morse Engineering.
Yes, looks like James is here.
Yep.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. For the record, James Garfield with Morse Engineering. So I'm here to represent the client for the applicant for 45 Pennfield. And to familiarize yourself with the plan, we got our property lines outlined here in bold. This is a septic system repair. The subject resource area is a BVW in the rear yard shown in blue. The entirety of the septic repair is outside of the 50-foot buffer, slightly within the 100-foot buffer. And the existing septic system is failing within the 50-foot buffer. And we've got an erosion control barrier down gradient of the limit of work. So with that, I'll leave it to you for any questions.
Richard?
No questions right now, Frank.
Okay. Doug?
No questions.
Penny?
Nope. Big improvement.
Okay. Andy? Sorry, Brendan?
Yeah, I have no questions.
Amy?
Looks like a great improvement and meets the requirements of a negative determination.
Okay. Do we have anybody in the audience?
Use the raise hand button if you want to ask a question.
Okay. And this is not the property that we dealt with before at Pennfield. I think we were below that. If I remember, it was the next one down that we had an issue with. So this is good. I'll take a motion.
I make a motion for a -3.
I'll second it.
Thank you. And so all in favor, Doug?
Yes.
Brendan,
Yes.
Frank, yes. Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
526 Country Way on May 24th, 2001, during the 5:30 p.m. meeting in the Town Hall, Situate Conservation request from Robert and Tina Davin for determination of applicability of the Mass Wetlands Protection Act and the Situate Wetlands bylaws for activity related to septic repair at property known as 526 Country Way, Scituate. If others and other interested parties are invited to attend. Information to access the virtual meeting will be available on the agenda posted on the town website. And we have Morse Engineering again.
Yep. So to familiarize yourself with this plan, the property lines are shown here in bold, the single family dwelling centered on the lot. Again, this is just a septic repair with a bordering vegetated wetland in the rear. The existing septic system's located within the 50-foot buffer. We're proposing it outside of that area, slightly within the 100-foot buffer. And again, we've got a erosion control down gradient in the limit of work. We'll take any comments.
Okay. Doug?
No, it's a pump system.
Correct.
Yep, no questions.
Okay, Penny?
That's the ranch that just went up for sale, right?
You know what? I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay, I'm pretty sure if I'm looking right. Yes, very good.
Andy? I'm sorry, Brendan?
Okay, I am here, Frank,
Oh, okay, great.
but I'm good on this one.
Okay, Brendan?
I have no questions.
Okay, Richard?
I'm good. Thank you.
Amy?
Yeah, I mean, great improvement over what's there, and overall it's a pretty wet site, but it appears to meet the requirements of the -3.
Okay. Do we have anybody in the audience? Okay. I don't have any questions. Drew, want to take a motion?
I make a motion for a -3.
I'll give that one to Richard. Anybody want to second it?
Go for it, Richard. Second.
I did.
All right, so Penny seconded. All in favor? Doug?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Brendan?
Yes.
And Frank, yes. Great, thank you.
Thank you.
8 Cliff Road, May 21st, 2021, during the 5:30 meeting at the Town Scituate Town Hall. Conservation Commission will act on the request of Ted Moriarty for determination of applicability of the Mass Wetlands Protection Act and the Scituate Wetlands bylaws for activities related to 4 new footings for deck expansion on property known as 8 Cliff Road South, Scituate.
Yes.
Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Information and access to the virtual meeting will be available on the agenda posted on the town website. Mr. Moriarty, are you on?
Yes, I am. How you doing?
Good. How are you tonight?
Good, thanks. Thanks for having me. So this is just an expansion. The deck that's there now is covered by the master bedroom and another bedroom, completely covered. So this is just expanding it so there's an uncovered portion. So my 3 teenage girls can get some sun.
That's critical.
Right.
Okay. Penny?
Yeah, so that's in the back. What is this line running through the lot? What is that depicting? Yes.
Oh,
That's the edge of the beach, Penny.
yeah, that's probably the high tide mark.
Okay. Okay. I'm fine then. Thank you.
Sure.
Andy?
Nope, no questions on this one.
Brendan?
I have no questions.
Richard?
I guess the only question I have, is there any particular equipment that you're going to need to be rolled in? Because I know the lot and it's pretty tight. So if so, how are you going to do it? And that's really it. Otherwise, it's fine.
Yeah, I've talked to Paul Armstrong, as well as a guy I have doing the deck itself. And there's actually a space in between. If you're looking at the ocean, the house to my right, there's a space you can drive a tractor through there. It's actually pretty wide.
That's
And
the big open lot on the street, right?
Actually, I'm 2 down from that.
Okay.
And if you keep going away from that, the next house, in between my house and their house, there's room for a tractor and to drive a piling. You can take a truck right through there between those 2 houses.
And on your property?
It's half my property and half my neighbor's.
Okay.
But for example, he just cleared all the rocks out of his driveway, and he took the tractor in between our 2 houses and, you know, ran it over half my property, half his, which, you know, is fine with me. He just did that to clear his driveway, and we do the same thing to put the pilings in.
Okay.
Okay.
If that's okay with you.
We'll
Okay,
see.
with the neighbor.
Yeah, no, it's fine with him.
Okay. Doug?
Yeah, no questions. Look like about 10-foot extension. Am I reading that right?
Yes, and I only went that far because my neighbor on the other side to the left, his deck is out that far. I wanted to go further, but I didn't think I'd get approval for further than my neighbor. So I'm only going as far as my neighbor. And I already have a deck that's there anyway, but it's all covered. So this is just the open part of it. So with the existing deck, it's big enough and it's fine.
Sure. Yeah. No, I'm good.
Okay. Thank you.
Amy?
Yeah, so we did receive the structural plans from Rivermore on this. And I mean, it's right on the beach. It's on a V zone, barrier beach, coastal dune. So the elevations appear to match, but it does need to meet building code for coastal resource areas. And seeing that it appears to, I think it meets the requirements of a -3.
Okay. Do we have anybody in the audience? Okay. So these are going to be driven piles, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I'm looking at the plan from Rivermore. It just isn't showing any detail in terms of depth or whatever. And when you say this is the part that's uncovered, so is there a deck there?
No, it's in the front. Front
Yeah.
and side.
There is one that goes around the whole house, and there is one on this side, on the ocean side as well. Again, they're making it in the picture here as part of the house because it's all covered up above it, and it is the same dimension of the house. But see the part on the left that sticks out, the little L?
Yes.
That's how wide it is, and that really should go all the way across. But again, they're making it part of the house. The part that's written with the lines through it, that's the expansion of what's there, and that's the uncovered part. And they're not delineating and showing the covered part because it's really part of the house.
Okay. And the access to it, you can do that without going onto the beach. Richard, you
Correct.
understand the area better than
Yes,
me.
yes, yes.
Okay. That's it. And who was the contractor?
Paul Armstrong will be driving the piles in, but
Okay.
Dunn Construction is doing the actual, once the beam is up, they're building the deck. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Good. I think I'm good. So can I have a motion? Anybody want to make a motion?
Make a motion for a -3.
That's Richard. A second?
Second, Doug.
All in favor? Penny?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Brendan?
Yes.
And Frank, yes. Great, thank you. 133 Glades Road. On May 24th, 2021, during the meeting at 5:30 p.m. the Town Hall, the Scituate Conservation Commission will act on the request of Mike McCarron for a determination of applicability of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Scituate Wetlands bylaws to activity related to a cement repair at property known as 133 Glades Road, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Information and access to the virtual meeting is available on the agenda posted on the town website. Do we have Mr. McCarron?
You do. Can you hear me
Good
okay?
evening. Yep.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. So I'm here to ask for forgiveness rather than permission, and I apologize. I did not realize I needed a permit to repair the cement. In the letter that I submitted, I stated that the cement had come under disrepair over the past couple of years. I've owned the house for about 7 years now. The cement underneath the house, along the walkway next to the house, had come under disrepair. We've had some accidents with kids, and my elderly neighbor tripped on it last summer and broke some glasses and hurt herself. So I brought a contractor in at the end of the winter, had them assess the whole area. Underneath the entire house is cement, and that was pre-existing before I purchased the home. I had him estimate whether or not I needed to repair all of the cement or just portions of it. He recommended I repair portions of it in the front and along the side of the home, which I did. We didn't pour cement anywhere where there wasn't already cement. Like I had stated, I didn't realize I needed a permit, so I do apologize for the mistake, and certainly wouldn't happen again.
Okay, thank you. Where am I on the list here? Andy?
Yeah, so you said you just covered existing cement. Did it raise the level of that cement in any area? Is it higher in some spots now?
Well, we leveled it, so it dropped. So in order for the contractor, the recommendation that I got was to pour enough that it wouldn't impede, it wouldn't happen again. So we leveled it all at 4 inches. And so there were some areas that were lower and some that were higher, but 4 inches was as high as we went. So you can see in that bottom left picture where it says cement walkway, that's I believe that's the previous, before we did the repairs. You can see how it kind of dips down as it goes down that side. So we brought it to grade or to level, but needed to put enough on there so that it wouldn't, so we could support it. We put wire mesh inside of it, or wire mesh inside, so that it wouldn't break up again.
Okay. All right, I'm good for now.
Okay, Brendan?
Yeah, I guess just kind of following on that. So like, did you remove cement and then like re-pour the whole slab part, or just poured stuff on top of what was there?
Yeah, no, I didn't move anything. If you go forward to another picture, I can. Yeah, so that's what you're looking at on the top left. There is the underneath the house. I didn't pour any cement on top of that. That's the existing cement. You can see in the upper left-hand corner of that picture, in the left-hand corner, is where the additional cement was poured on top of the other cement. So actually on the right-hand side of that picture, you can see the old cement and the new cement, what we ended up doing. And so the bottom is that's an area where I didn't pour any new cement because it didn't need to be repaired. The other cement you see in the front there of that bottom picture is the new cement on top of the old. So I didn't move any. We didn't demo any cement, and we didn't pull any out.
Okay. Thank you.
Richard?
No, I don't have any questions. You made it pretty clear.
Doug?
No, I think with the pictures, this obviously is in a flood zone. Everything's on piles.
Yes, sir.
So, and if it was already there, there's no increase in impervious material. So I think it looks pretty clear. So no, I don't think I have any questions.
Penny? Thanks, Dick.
No,
Penny?
the project looks good. Just to remind yourself, if you do anything down there, you are in an area, you know, just for your own self. If something else you decide to do down there, just come to us. Okay.
Yeah, my brother so I'm 133 Glades. You're going to be hearing very shortly from my brother who just purchased 135 Glades.
Oh, okay.
And I'm sorry, 131 R Glades.
Yeah.
He's going to be demoing that house and building, I'm sure, some sort of monstrosity. So you'll be hearing plenty of the McCarron name over the course of the next couple of years. So we certainly are aware of this now.
Okay. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Amy?
Yeah, thanks, Mike, for coming in and filing this after the fact. It's a tough area, right? And one of the things that it's, you know, when you're new down in the area, it's might not be so well known that walls aren't really allowed in this area because it redirects the flood waters and makes things actually worse for some of the interests of the act. But you know, since you kind of inherited this situation, I think that it would meet the requirements of a negative finding. So,
thank you.
Do we have anybody in the audience to speak to this one?
Okay, you want a motion?
Just a couple of quick questions. So when I look at this, it looks like there is a small wall already at the front of the house.
Yes, sir.
So it's a stone wall with a cap or something that's on it.
Yes. Yeah.
And how long have you had the house now?
I bought it in 2013, so 8 years.
Okay. And that wall was there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, we don't ask people to remove things that they had prior to it, and just so that you understand the thinking that goes on with these is, as Amy mentioned, you know, once a wall goes up, then it sort of redirects water onto other people's property, which intensifies that water flow, like in the driveways or things like that. So we kind of, once for years, houses were sitting on a foundation and they stopped the water flow, and then they've been elevated to keep them out of harm's way, but still try to avoid that. I know it kind of helps sometimes with stones and cleanup and all that, but it does create other issues. The other thing that doesn't happen so much on your side, but anytime you put down a hard surface like that, you actually speed up the process of water running through there, and it makes it worse on the backside. So eventually that water would tend to make more erosion on the rear. There's been quite a bit put into these things and why the regulations are written. And just as time goes on, I think when your brother does his house, and if he's going to tear it down, there's more of an involved process. But
yeah, he's absolutely screwed. Yep.
Well,
Can't do any of this.
You set the poor guy up.
Well, I mean, that right now that little wall does push all the water onto my brother's property. So it works out fine for me.
There you go. Okay. All right. Well, thanks again for Penny.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Make a motion for -3.
I'll second that.
And that's Doug. So all in favor, Richard?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Brendan?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. And Frank, yes. We don't have our resident, Minot resident here tonight to fill us in on some of these. All right. How about 24 Woodland Road?
Septic.
On May 24th, 2021, during the 5:30 p.m. meeting at Town Hall, Situate Conservation Commission will act on the request of Patrick Bowes for determination of applicability of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Scituate Wetlands bylaws for activities related to a septic repair at property known as 24 Woodland Rd, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Information to access the virtual meeting is available on the agenda posted on the town website. So we have Morse Engineering.
Yep. Again, for the record, James Garfield with Morse Engineering. Here we go. So to familiarize yourself with this plan, again, property lines are outlined in bold, single family dwellings centered on the lot and a bordering vegetated wetland to the rear. The current site serviced by a cesspool in the front yard and then a laundry pit in the rear yard, which is currently in the 50-foot buffer. We're proposing to have the plumbing tied together within the house, exit out the front of the house to a new septic system, which will be pumped in the front yard. And the leaching field itself will actually reside outside of the 100-foot buffer. And we've also got an erosion control down gradient of our proposed work. So with that, I'll leave it to you for any comments.
Okay, great, thank you. Brendan?
No, I don't have any comments. Question.
Richard?
No, it looks like a nice improvement.
Doug?
No, it looks like the entire
So
leaching portion of the system is out of the buffer completely. So it's really just the tanks and some plumbing that even falls within the 100. Very minimal grading. So no, I think you've done everything you possibly could for a repair there. So looks good.
Penny?
It's perfect. Thank you.
Wow.
Jeez.
Wow, she had to up me up one. You know?
Well, I was thinking the same thing you did, that the leaching field, that's the important thing to have out. And that's awesome. It's out of 100.
Andy?
I'm all good.
Thanks. Amy?
Yeah, this is great. Thanks. Looks like it meets the requirements of a negative finding.
Okay, do we have anybody in the audience? Okay. I don't see any issues there. Okay, I'll take a motion.
-3.
Penny, second.
I'll second that.
That's Doug. All in favor? Richard?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Brendan?
Yes.
Frank, yes. Great, thank you.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
144 Hatherly Rd.
So nice, Jane.
On May 21st, 2021, during the 5:30 p.m. meeting at Town Hall, Situate Conservation Commission will act on the request of Toll Mass Land 3 Limited Partnership for determination of applicability of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and Scituate bylaws for activities related to the installation of 2 catch basins, subsurface drainage pipes, water quality unit, and a flared end outlet at property known as 144 Hatherly Rd, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Information to access the virtual meeting will be available on the agenda posted on the town website. And we have somebody from Toll Brothers.
Mark Manganello.
Mark Manganello, yeah.
Hey, Mark.
Hi, Frank. Members of the commission.
Hi, Mark.
Hi, Mark.
Hello. So I'm representing Toll Brothers tonight with this RDA. It involves drainage infrastructure improvements in Hatherly Road and at 144 Hatherly Road. On this plan, you can see that this is near the entrance to the Seaside of Scituate project on the ocean side of Hatherly Road.
Yeah.
It basically consists of 2 new catch basins, subsurface drainage pipes, and a water quality unit, which will direct stormwater to a flared end section on 144 Hatherly Road. A portion of it's in the buffer zone The work in Hatherly Road itself is not, but as it extends eastward, or I guess that's more north, it goes into the buffer zone for a short duration, including the flared end section. It's a previously disturbed area, so there's no removal of any native vegetation or anything like that. Toll Brothers has been discussing this with DPW and the planning board along the way. There was some email dialogue about an easement. So there is a 15-foot wide easement proposed, and documents have been drafted to memorialize that easement and a graphic to memorialize it. It hasn't been finalized yet, but we don't anticipate any major hiccups with that. So that's a summary of it. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Okay, maybe before we start to run this through, if I can just ask Mark, how come this is being added with the project already pretty much designed? Were there some changes, or?
I think there was just an unresolved drainage issue in Hatherly Road in this area, and there was there was drainage issues there, and a joint decision was made to resolve it in this manner. So it's sort of, the runoff isn't from the project, I guess is probably a better answer. The runoff is mostly from Hatherly Road.
So before the project was built, though, where was this water going?
I don't know for sure. I believe it stayed within the Hatherly Road footprint, or it was a pre-existing situation there where there was just a sort of a puddling that would occur there.
All right, well, I'm going to switch over, and then I get a couple more questions and come back to that. So it looks like we'll start with Richard again.
I don't have anything right now.
Okay, Doug. Thanks.
I'm just deciphering the plan here a little bit. Is the proposed drain line? Well, there's a red line on the plan that's tied to the water line. That's not part of this, right?
Looks like the drain pipe heads towards the marsh. It's going east, right?
That's right. The red line. Let me just get to my.
And then there's some blue hatching in there of roadway reconstruction. That's not part of this either, is it? Or is that?
That's the area that would need to be resurfaced as part of this.
That's going to be resurfaced after you install
Correct.
And so it's like those two catch basins, and then the pipe that heads out on this plan, it's going in the rear, which is away from the ocean, correct? Back into the.
Well, it's going towards the ocean.
It's going toward the ocean.
That's the ocean. So the ocean is up the top of the screen?
Correct.
Yep. Okay, got it. So there's a wetland.
Huge.
In there, and is there mitigation at the end of that pipe, or?
There's a grass swale. They're gonna build a grass swale there to just sort of further slow and infiltrate any water that comes through there.
Okay. And you mentioned like there's other pending approvals on this as well. Did you say?
Well, an easement has to be formalized with the town going forward. Yeah. Okay, get it. I'm just trying to get it. Obviously, this plan was prepared for a lot more than just this drain line. So I was just kind of baking through the mass amount of data on there. Yeah, understandable. Yeah. So, all right, thanks.
Penny?
I'm just disappointed the viewing stand is gone. Other than that, I guess I'm okay as long as it filters before it hits that wetlands.
Okay. Yep, the water quality device is designed to remove sediment from the stormwater.
All right.
Is there a detail of that on the submittal, Mark?
Of the device?
Yeah.
I don't think so. Let me see here.
I'm not seeing it in the cross sections.
Yeah, I don't see it in the cross sections either. No.
Do you know what it is?
I don't know specifically what the selection is that they chose for that.
Okay. Amy's got a larger plan here. Where was I? So Andy?
Water quality.
No, I don't have any questions to add to those.
Brendan?
Did I hear me? I have no new questions. I have no questions.
Wrap. Swale.
Amy?
So like Mark said, this is part of a utility project between the town and Toll Brothers, I guess, to mitigate water issues that were, like you said, longstanding in Hatherly Rd. What kind of maintenance is going to be required for this, Mark?
In terms of the water quality device or just in general?
In general.
My understanding is that the water quality device needs to be maintained periodically. I don't know the frequency with which it has to be maintained. You know, the sediment that collects inside it needs to be removed periodically. I don't know the frequency. In the flared end section, I don't think there's any maintenance of that necessary. Maybe there would be some effort to, you know, make sure there isn't woody vegetation growing up through the riprap at the flared end section going forward, and the grass swale would need to be mowed periodically as well for the same reason, to make sure it stays a grass swale. That's all that comes to mind at this point.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I mean, and also the work is subject to a valid, fully executed easement, which, I mean, I've seen a tentative copy of it, but it hasn't been, it's still a work in progress. I guess the DPW is reviewing it, and I don't know, the easement should be recorded though before the work happens, because I know in turn gets turned over to the town to maintain in the long run. So those are details we're not involved in though. And otherwise, I think it meets the requirements of a -3.
Do we have anybody in the audience that wants to speak to this? So, I mean, if I'm right, where this is already work that's going on. This is almost an after the fact, except I think they're still working on it. Am I right about that, Mark?
Yeah, last I heard, they had completed the Hatherly Rd work up to the water quality device.
Because they've had, if anybody's been down that way, that's the area that they've sort of ground down and are in the process of changing some curbs and whatnot.
Yeah.
So they're already well underway with this piece. I guess I'd like to see what this device is. I'm assuming that this is something that the town DPW has accepted, that they'll be able to maintain and clean out. It seems a little difficult to access, so I hope that they've looked at that, Amy. You know, they can go
Well,
along.
I know that I've been out there at the site location with the town engineer, Sean McCarthy, and I mean, all I can say is it's a work in progress. Is that I'm not sure that I know it hasn't been executed, and I'm not sure what language is going to be finalized on. But before they dig this out and turn it over to the town, it needs a fully executed easement. Because you're right, the town will inherit the maintenance of this.
Right. I guess more important than the maintenance, I mean, that's something that the easement the town has to have, and they certainly need to supply. But I mean, what we're agreeing to is at least the water that pitches on the road from a decent distance in either direction into these two basins, then into a manhole, then into this cleaning device, and then discharge into the marsh. And when they made application for this project, they weren't going to discharge into that marsh, if I remember. I think, Mark, you presented that.
Yeah, that's correct. And it, you know, I should have made it clear or clearer that the discharge, by the time it gets to the flared end section, is released at that point, goes through the grass swale and continues. It's, I want to say it's another 100 feet, maybe a little more than 100 feet before you actually get to the wetland that's, you know, that there's sort of a coastal bank actually over there, an embankment that slopes down to the marsh.
Right.
So there's a pretty good distance. It's not like the flared end section is, you know, 10 feet from the edge of the wetland. There's an additional vegetated area that, that will help, you know, either absorb or slow any water that is released. Well,
that discharge is really only about 10 feet from the wetland line, if I'm looking at it right.
Well, to the right it is, but this, if you look at that proposed 26 contour, where it bends there, that's the direction the swale is going to go. So the swale will continue in the easement in that linear fashion. So it's not going to be direct.
So you're creating a swale that's going to go further than that level spreader or whatever you're placing at the end of the.
That's right. Yeah, that bend in the proposed 26 contour that cuts across the easement is the orientation of the swale. So it'll be oriented in the same direction as the pipe itself.
Amy, is this something that's sort of, it seems like this has sort of evolved a little bit. Maybe they found that something wasn't working. Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out why this is necessary.
I'm not sure of the details on how this came about. I do know I was on a site walk, not recently. So it was like last year, and we were all out there, and it was one of the items on the punch list that came up. And I think that they were tasked, Toll Brothers were tasked to solve the drainage issues in Hatherly Rd, and this is what they came up with. So honestly, I'm not 100% sure it's sold to the DPW, but I think it's a, I mean, on the other hand, I haven't heard that it's turned down either. So it's, you know, we're just looking at the project and jurisdictionally whether it meets the requirements, and it appears that it does.
As an RDA as opposed to an NOI?
Well, it's buffer work. It's similar to other projects that you've done probably as a buffer. I mean, it's a little bit similar to that Gardner Road project for the heirs. You remember that one?
Ongoing.
I mean, which we know inherently those types of projects, catch basins, they fill up with sand, and they can be problematic down the road, but really for the DPW, I don't know.
And I guess the other question is why aren't they just amending their orders?
Mark, you can answer that one.
Yeah, well, my understanding of it was that because this was resolving a drainage problem within Hatherly Rd, that amending the order for the project was not the right procedural avenue for it.
Oh. Yeah.
Are you thinking this should be a positive finding, Frank? I mean, because we have taken these as notices too. I mean,
I'm just wondering if it's a shortcut. I mean, you know, they put in a fairly elaborate drain system at the other end of this project going down 6th Avenue. and they had to increase the size of the piping to accommodate this project. So and they dealt with the drain, you know, part of their project was that they professed that there was already a lot of water coming off of this site, and they had to deal with it along Hatherly Road. I'm talking north of this area. There was water weeping out from that wetland that ran along Hatherly Road. And so, you know, in order to make, they had a lot of different changes in the project. And so that was what was agreed to do, that they could add that drainage. Thanks, Jim. But I'm looking at the larger plan on my right. So the alternative to discharging there would be that they would have had to dig up Hatherly Road and connect it to the infrastructure that they've already been obliged to increase, if I'm correct.
Yeah, I think that's right. It would have had to have tied into that system all the way down the road, whereas here you can sort of reduce the size of the drainage area and isolate it to a point where it can be discharged in a, you know, in a manner that doesn't disturb any of the wetlands.
I mean, if it ends up as a positive finding, I mean, I think it's approvable under a notice of intent with a set of orders. And I mean, the upside to a notice is we would notify abutters, but actually I think that we went through this, Mark, didn't we? And there are no abutters to the project within 100 feet. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah.
So that was one of the things I had going in the RDA category.
It's
I mean the orders are recorded. They're, you know, give you more control over the project. So in that light, that's a positive for sure in the long run.
Have you had much discussion with Sean McCarthy or anybody from DPW about the same?
Yeah, I've spoken to Karen and Sean at pretty good length about the project, and also Keith Curran and potentially Dave Buckley about it. But I just know it's one of the things that they need to solve as part of the overall big project. And like Mark said, I think that there's maybe a little bit of a divide here. And so this is capturing that water that's going south. Maybe they weren't able to do the elevations. I know there was a lot going on in Hatherly Road overall, but I think that this was something that the DPW thought was acceptable.
And Karen's looked at it. I mean, we did this jointly.
Yeah, and Karen and the planning board also, I don't know if it's gone to the planning board for a vote, but I think it may have actually. So
Mark, do you know that?
I don't know the answer to that.
So what I'd like to do is continue this. I'd like to find out about the water quality device, maybe have a short conversation with Sean McCarthy, who's ever been involved, and maybe we can even catch Karen and then deal with this at the next meeting. Does anybody have a problem with that?
Except for the fact that it's not going to be the next meeting. The next meeting is fully booked, so it's going to have to go to the 20th.
Well, if it's just a matter of getting this thing, getting some information that's missing, I can't believe it would take us. I mean, well, that's up to you on the agenda, but I don't think we're going to have a long discussion if everybody's in agreement with it.
I think it should go to the 21st if it's going to get continued.
21st of June?
Yes.
Frank?
And that way we can hopefully get something in writing from the engineering department, because I don't have, you know, like the confirmation. I don't think that we need in writing.
Next meeting is what, the 6th?
7th.
7th. Yeah. Well, is there any reason we can't continue it to the 7th? If we have what we need, we can close it. And then if not, we'll just continue it again. I don't want to make more of this than is necessary, but I just don't. I'm not quite.
Oh,
Go ahead, Penny.
I was just going to say, if Frank can get his answers from Sean, then it'll take 2 minutes on the 7th. If Frank does not get the answers he's looking for, it will just be continued until we have a discussion period on the 21st. And we won't even hear it.
Penny, I think you make sense.
On the 7th, if Frank gets the answers that he's looking for, I mean, it'll be a no-brainer, just zip.
Right, so then Frank needs to get the answers by like Friday.
Okay.
A week before the meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Frank, I'll be on your case. Okay.
All right. So,
All right.
I have a
So
motion.
I make a motion to continue Toll Brothers until June 7th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Oh. I know.
I'm sorry. That was a motion by Penny, right?
Yeah.
I second.
And a second by Richard. So all in favor, Doug?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Brendan?
Yes.
Frank, yes. Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
And then 146 First Parish Road. Uh-oh.
This is no good.
On May 21st, 2021, during the 5:30 meeting, the Town Hall, Scituate Conservation Commission will act on the request of Doug Aaberg for a determination of applicability of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and Scituate Wetlands bylaws for activities related to the removal of invasives and planting on a buffer at the property located at 146 First Parish Road, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Information to access the virtual meeting will be available on the agenda posts on the town website. Okay.
So I'm not completely sure. I'm wondering, I'm kind of thinking I should probably recuse myself
Maybe
on this one.
Are you going to present?
Yes, I am.
Then you recuse.
Okay, so for the record, my name is Doug Aaberg. My wife and I own 146 First Parish. And we are looking to do some plantings around the existing yard and remove some invasive species, which there are a ton. But because of the proximity of the wetlands, almost everything we do around there is in the buffer zone. So that's what this application for. The lion's share of what we're looking to do, and just so you know, like going forward, our plan was and still is at some point to file a notice of intent to do a bunch of reclamation, restoration work, because of the invasive species. We back up to the Scituate Brook, and all the way back there, it's just thick with all kinds of species that are invasive that I didn't know until a year ago but things like bittersweet were invasive. But we've got Brad Holmes hired to do that, but with everybody's schedules and everything and the cost of doing it, we're not probably going to be able to get that done this year. At best, we'll file the notice of intent sometime next fall, but probably wouldn't be able to start the work. But it would be a lot more complicated than this. So for this year, what we want to try to do is at least get rid of these along the right-hand side of the property line that you're looking at. That there's a 24 inch drain pipe the town put in there that drains back to Scituate Brook.
And they cleared that land, and when they put that pipe in, it was quite some time ago, this really thick, dense scrub brush grew in there, and it grows really thick and massively crazy. And I can mow around it to try to keep it intact, but it's making its way into our neighbor's yard, and we're all fighting against it. So that big chunk of it is the big one, because that's the only one that takes some excavation to dig that out, replace it with topsoil, and then at least more than half of it is outside of the 100-foot buffer zone anyways. And so that part, we're just going to go ahead and topsoil and turf for now. Eventually we want to do all, native plantings and
gardens and all kinds of cool things like that. But all that's just expensive. So we're going to do that in the kind of greenish colored hatched area that's within the 100-foot buffer zone. So that's going to be, and Ann has all this stuff picked out, like wild strawberry and ground cover and various small bushes. We can't put anything big in there because of the drain pipe, but we're going to put in, small plantings and bushes and some larger things along the property line, but all native species in that area. And we think we can maintain that. And then the rest of it is just some various landscaping in front of the house. And then in the back, and this is in the 50-foot buffer zone, just planting some rhododendrons, which I believe are native, along the property lines. There's probably 3 or 4 rhodos there. And the one thing that I forgot to put on this application, or I forgot to put in the narrative, but it probably is inconsequential, but we have a screened-in porch to the left of the house. If you see those little boxes there, the L-shaped that still has little hatch marks. Mm-hmm. The portion that doesn't have hatch marks, those are the decks that I had an RDA for last year. But the other portion is a little screened-in porch, and all the panels, window panels and screen panels, are rotted out. So we're replacing all of those, but we're not expanding it or anything like that. But that kind of work will be going on there too.
All right.
And that's it.
Okay. Penny?
No, I have no problem whatsoever. Can I just ask, you're gonna do that square at the back, you're gonna remove all the invasive species there and put natives and ground covers. That'll be lovely. In the front, you're gonna do grass. That's fine. It's out of 100. And behind that, there's those 2 trees.
Yes.
Is in between those trees, is that all scrub and stuff, or what's there?
That is all there. It starts to turn into a mound where they covered the pipe, but actual trees have grown in there and everything. But yes, it's all scrubby all the way back to the Scituate Brook.
Oh, okay.
And there is some debris. There's a debris pile that had been there for, I think it just was kind of a catch-all use when people were dumping lawn clips and stuff like that.
Yeah.
While we're there, we're going to remove anything that's left. Apparently, there used to be this used to be a garage. So yeah. This was for the property of the house up front, and at one point it was a garage, and we found chunks of bituminous pavement buried back here. So we're going to dig that out and remove it as well.
Oh, well, that's good. Okay.
Well, we found out the hard way. We already lost a battle with some garlic mustard, and pulled out just like a patch of it by the shed. And it was back the next day. Like, it was amazing. And it's just, to me, it's like overwhelming and almost depressing. Like, I don't know. I feel like we're going to have to hire somebody to go in there. But if you don't put something back right away, we found that the basins just will take over in a couple days, they'll just be all over the place. So we're
Well,
going to
then
try to
make
go
this
slower.
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm all set, Frank.
Andy?
Yeah, I mean, it looks pretty good. What's your source on what's native and all that, Doug, as you're picking out the plants?
Well, since my wife retired, she became a master gardener. So it's all up to her.
Okay.
So she went to school and did all that kind of stuff. So I can't tell you, but she has the sources for that. And Brad Holmes walked the property with us, and he's going to flag. He said it'd be a lot easier to flag what's not invasive than what is. But again, that's just taking some time. But we do have him as a resource. But she's got a pretty good handle on what to put in. It's native, and not everything like in the front of the house. Not all of that's going to be native.
Right.
But anything in the buffer zone is going to be native.
Yeah. My concern would be more like a misused ground cover that's suddenly your newest invasive species.
Yeah, the only one I remember her talking about that I know we're putting in is a wild strawberry.
Okay. Got it. I'm good. Thank you.
Brendan?
I have no questions.
Thank you. Richard?
The only thing, Doug, I would want to know is, I mean, are you hand pulling this out or are you?
No.
Okay. So what are you doing?
Yeah. So we've got a landscaper that's going to come in and dig this part out with machinery. And then topsoil it and plant the grass and the ground cover, or all these plants and stuff like that.
So if he's digging it out, there's going to be no chemicals used or anything like that to do it?
No.
Is there?
No. We're not going to poison anything. He's going to actually dig down and then replace with clean topsoil.
Okay.
And plant anew.
Good.
Bring a little bobcat in.
Yeah. Not huge equipment, but
yeah, I got that.
Yeah.
I got that. Thanks. I'm good.
Yeah. Amy?
That's a good question, Rich.
Yeah, all great questions. So, I mean, I've spoke to Doug about the project too, and understand that it's a lead into a bigger that's going to have a notice of intent. And he really wanted to try to get this hopefully done this season. And I mean, invasives are certainly a challenge. I like the approach of, flagging the native stuff. And I don't know, good luck. And I think it meets the requirements of a -3.
Yep.
Okay. Do we have anybody in the audience for this one? Nothing. So Doug, you and I have had this conversation about plants and something that the commission is looking for people to come up with ways to remove invasives and get more native plantings. We had a hearing last time with Hatherly Rd with them not using pesticides or like glyphosates or anything like that. So I think it's all a good solution. What I might suggest is get Ann to make a list of the plants that she intends to put in some kind of quantity and maybe submit that to Amy.
Sure.
Something, you're probably going to kind of work out the layout and stuff like that. I don't think we need to have that kind of detail, but I think it would be good to have a list of the plant material submitted with that and some kind of an idea of the size and quantity of the plants you want to put in, just so we have that on the plan.
On the record. Sure.
Yep.
Yeah, she already more or less has that, so I think I could just get a copy of that list.
That'd be great. I mean, sometimes those have to be changed depending on what's available at the time that you do it, but it'd be good to have something like that. So it's typically what we'd ask for. That'd be a good way to remove some of that. Okay, I'll take a motion.
Make a motion for -3.
And a second?
Second, Andy.
Okay, all in favor, Richard,
Yes.
Brendan,
Yes.
and Frank, yes. Great, good luck with that. Okay, orders?
Yep, I make a motion, we accept the orders of condition for 24 Old Mouth Road, 250 Driftway, 392 and 92R, and 396 Hatherly Road as written.
I'll second that.
All in favor? That was Richard on the second, right?
Yes.
All in favor, Doug?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Brendan?
Yes.
Frank, yes. Thank you. Okay.
I do the minutes.
Sure.
Okay, I make a motion that we accept the minutes for 5/3 and 5/17 as written. Good job, Jen.
Second.
And that was Penny. Who was the second?
Doug.
Doug seconded. All in favor? Richard?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Brendan?
Yes.
Frank, yes. Great, thanks. Any correspondence, Amy?
I think that, did you guys get a list? We're trying to keep this meeting a little bit short, but there was a list of correspondence. I mean, we get stuff all the time, right?
Yeah, anything leaping out at us?
Nothing of note since last week.
That's what we want to hear.
Well, I mean, if you really want me to get into it, I can, but I can.
Not at length. No.
Email chain. Garlic was a topic.
What?
I don't know. I think I've shared most of everything that's particularly relevant this week.
Okay.
Short. But things certainly are happening. Really appreciate everybody having this extra meeting. It's kind of strange to have meetings back to back, but I think in the end, it'll make a huge difference because just the volume of submittals is, pretty much tripled. And I mean, I was saying, the next meeting on the 7th is pretty heavy. I mean, and it's heavy with heavy projects. So it's not like septic repairs. We're talking new builds and, more complicated projects. So it should be interesting. But yeah, and 25 Torrey's Lane was a house, was built a couple years ago, and we're going to issue a CFC for that. I saw that there was Amy might be on the call. Didn't know if you wanted to, if she's still on the call or not.
For which project?
Maybe not. Well, it's not a listed project. It was Amy Grosier. See, my view is not showing it right now.
Okay.
She's Jen.
I see her on.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Jen says she doesn't have her hand up. So
She just wants to visit.
Okay. Well, one of the projects that may or may not make the list was, wait a minute, is Oceanside. No, and it's most likely going to get pushed to the 21st because we're just that full. And that's probably, that'll be a project of interest to everybody in that area of Oceanside because we can't discuss it right now, but it's a new notice on an address where there's existing orders.
Okay.
But anyways, yeah, so lots of great stuff going on.
Okay, thank you.
Right, the
so
scouts.
There's the scouts, and I should have mentioned. So I think you've seen this. We talked a little bit about the change in meetings, what's going to happen. Some of it's going to be out of our hands, depending what the governor decides to do. But Amy sent out a piece from MAC, basically encouraging governor's office to look at that and see if we can't come up with some sort of hybrid to keep this working. We know a lot of you folks still have things going on and family and all that, and this meeting's worked out fairly well. So I'd like to be able to somehow continue to come up with something. So if you have any strong feeling, try to make it known, and hopefully they won't just make a blanket decision to totally go back to full in-house meetings. There'll be people that aren't going to be comfortable coming to these meetings yet that might want to participate, and it's going to make things more complicated. So hopefully before they rescind the governor's order, they'll think about some sort of hybrid of that, and hopefully it'll work for all of us. So we'll do what we can. And then just lastly, we've been working with the Boy Scouts on their request to have some sort of camping area. And it looks like right now we're trying to come up with an area that's in back of the Rod and Gun Club. It's town property. It was called the T Field, and it's already sort of a modified area. And hopefully we'll have some more information I can just email out to all of you as to what they want to do. But it's not very disruptive. It's fairly simple. It just seems to make good sense. And I've had conversations, police department, fire department, people are being able to weigh in and make sure it's done appropriately. But this is still a little bit ongoing, and maybe by the next meeting we'll have something to you folks. I'm going to try to also explain it to the selectmen so that they can give it some consideration. But
when are you doing that, Frank?
I think it's the night after our meeting. I believe it's
tomorrow.
No, the 8th.
The 8th.
Oh.
I think.
Yeah.
So we can chat a little bit more about that during the week, Amy, or whatever. So if anybody's got any concerns about what they're doing, either you can let me know now, or you can shoot me an email or something, just so we hopefully can pull everything together.
Okay.
Good.
That's about it. All right.
One of the things that actually Doug's project reminded me of is that, and actually Toll Brothers being on stage tonight, is the Scituate Brook study. Remember that one?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's on the list, Amy. It just, we can only do so much.
But you're
well,
right.
If we don't do it soon, we might spend all the money on signage. Just saying.
No.
What wasn't there? There was a study being performed, right? Because a couple people came in that same pipe in our yard. They came out. I helped them find the back of the pipe, and they tested the water coming out of it.
Oh, I don't know.
Not sure what that,
we got a notification.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Well, that's not the one we're talking about.
Oh, it's not?
Yeah.
Money for to start.
There was a flood study going on though, but I didn't think it was in the Scituate area. I thought that was more salt.
Yeah.
People are very interested in
water.
I think it must have been, no, it was I think it was maybe it's just DPW doing it, but we got a notification that there would be testers in the area sampling outfall pipes all over. So
that's, you know what, that's part of the MS4 permit for the town.
Oh, okay.
The municipal, sewer permit, that's EPA. And so it was probably a consultant for the town that's administering that permit to keep the town in compliance.
Okay.
Because it would require water quality testing. Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we've covered everything. Anybody else?
No. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Richard. That was Penny. All in favor? Doug?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Brendan? He's already gone. Frank, yes. And Frank, yes. Guys, have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Good night, everyone.
All right, everybody.